Hey everyone, Blanc here bringing you another video in the Unexpected Build series. Sorry about the long time no see, just a lot to manage right now. So, but I want to go over a really cool build that I've been putting together recently for Sun Kitty that I think you'll have a ton of fun with. This build is basically, I call it the Keeper build because it plays very similar to how you play Keeper of the Forbidden Wilds, in the sense that you just have way too much energy, early access to 3 card plays, and just start slamming majors at the board, slamming big energy turns, whatever, and just go wild, have fun. I've been like thresholding gates on the spirit and stuff like that. So just absolutely super fun time. I want to share this build with you. I also think it's a really strong way to play Sun Kitty, and definitely a great way of covering Sun Kitty's more troublesome matchups. So, first of all, before I get into the build, since it is called the Keeper build, I want to sort of go over what Keeper does so that we can kind of understand like why the Sun Kitty build is so powerful. So, first of all, if you're not familiar with Keeper very much, Keeper tends to build by leaning into its double growth here. So they really like to place 2 presents. The reason for this is that their tracks are just insane. So if you grow here on turn 1 using G3, and then on turn 2 you grow here and here using G3 and G4, then you have access to what we call a 4-2 spirit. What this means is that you have 4 energy and 2 card plays. Already pretty massive for turn 2. Turn 3 though, it gets better because we can become a 4-3 spirit. Now we're 4-3 on turn 3. And after that, we can be a 5-3 spirit if we want even, which is absolutely crazy. So for reference, we consider 3-3 often to be the end game state for a spirit. Meaning if you have 3 energy income and 3 card plays, you're able to, play a 3-cost major every single turn. You can play a 6-cost major every 2 turns. You can play a bunch of minor powers and be accumulating resources. It's basically an end game state for a spirit. They're able to handle a lot of problems late into a level 6 adversary by having 3 energy a turn, 3 card plays a turn. They don't even need necessarily super strong innates or special rules. They just sort of need that framework, and that plus the power that's already within the minor power and major power deck is kind of just enough to make things work. So the fact that Keeper can get to 4-3 as early as turn 3 is absolutely insane. And this is sort of the core reason that Keeper is kind of a broken spirit, because they just have too much energy, too many card plays, way too fast. And not only do they have that, but they also have ways of drafting. They draft every time or they draft with Boon of Growing Power, and if they still need more drafts, they have a gain power card here. So totally a silly spirit, slinging majors at the board very early in the game, and that's generally just going to be super winning. Not to mention that you have a great right name as well that's solving lands. So that's what Keeper tends to do. Just huge econ very early, but not necessarily the strongest unique powers. Finder is very similar to Keeper. I know it's kind of a weird comparison, but Finder really is similar to Keeper because they also can get to 5-3 relatively early in the game. The main difference for Finder is that they have more unique powers, which matters for things like managing when you want to reclaim. They have a stronger reclaim than Keeper because infinite range is just totally broken. They have a better element spread than Keeper because these elements are more relevant for thresholding a lot of different major powers. And they also just have kind of uniques that better affect the board than Keeper. So they can push cities on turn 1 and make these big pockets the invaders can't deal with. Now, there's certainly some things that are nice to have on Keeper, such as access to wilds into Russia, which makes the Russia matchup for Keeper super trivial. And Finder, it's still a decent matchup for Finder, but they have to pilot it really well, and there's some dark timelines. But all in all, Finder's kind of similar that they can also get to this like 5-3 state pretty early in the game and have access to great powers to support majors and just draft lots using G3 and their reclaim. So these 2 spirits are kind of broken because they just have broken stat lines, right? Among other things. Now, Sun Kitty, what if we kind of dreamt up a build that put Sun Kitty in a similar position, where they also had a broken stat line, but they also had some benefits that were unique to their own kit. This is what this build sort of aims for. So first of all, just to draw a little comparison, Sun Kitties right now typically like to build bottom track, and they'll look to play these 3 cards because it hits their tier 3 innate. This will basically do 3 damage every single turn. But the question I want you to ponder throughout this video is, how worth is 3 damage, right? What do we give up to accomplish 3 damage every turn? And aren't a lot of major powers capable of doing way more than 3 damage every single turn? I think the answer is yes, but I'll sort of go over it. Now, one thing to note with this Sun Kitty build that I'm about to show you is I don't have a fixed route for you. It's not like the Darkness build where I can pretty much say, like, you should play this on turn 1, this on turn 2, etc. It's more improvisational. However, I will try to go over what I think are kind of common routes. So I'm going to show 2 Sun Kitties here because there's kind of 2 deviations. So they both have the same opening, or at least like the first turn, which is they tend to use G2 and grow top track. So I'm going to give myself 6 energy here. And we're going to often play Scatter to the Winds. What this does is we solve 1 land using our Presence drop. We solve 1 land using Scatter to the Winds. So we're still solving lands as they're exploring, so life's pretty good there. We're not causing any blight yet. And we've just accumulated a 5 energy surplus. So we're pretty happy there. On turn 2 is where things get spicy. So you can either choose to grow bottom and grab 4 energy. Oops, I meant to highlight this. Grab 4 energy. So this would be another... we would have spent 1 energy on Scatter to the Winds in each case. Let me fix that. So here you'll grab 6 energy in this right case. You'll be at 11 energy. And in this case, we're just going to draft a major right away. So we're going to get just 2 energy, go up to 7. Now, being at 7 energy, 11 energy this early in the game on 2 plays is kind of similar to Keeper's 4-2, right? Because if you're at 4-2 for 2 turns, you're going to have 8 energy and 2 card plays. That's kind of like this. You're at 7 energy, 11 energy-ish, 2 card plays. So already we're like pretty similar to Keeper, but you know, we'll keep making the comparison as things go on. Yeah, so in this case, I took the energy growth, and in this case, I am going to take the draft. So let's see what our draft is. Okay, I mean, this is a super strong draft. I'm actually going to go ahead and take 2 cards here, not because I'm trying to play a legal game right now, but more that I kind of just want to show you some of your options. So let's say we took Irresistible Call. In this version of Sun Kitty, we could just slam Irresistible Call turn 2. What's stopping us, right? If we play Irresistible Call on turn 2, most single 6 adversaries just fall apart and can't deal with it. I promise you, if this is like Russia or something, you just play Irresistible Call, and then the next turn, that land that took 1 blight, you just kill all the explorers using Tempest. Your game's pretty much over, right? You've solved everything that Russia wanted to do in the early turns. And now at this point, you can just scale up and draft blight removal or do whatever you want, right? You've pretty much won the game into a lot of adversaries. But if that's not the route that you want to go, or maybe it's not the best route for your game, there's still the Vigor route, and Vigor's pretty crazy. Because while we probably wouldn't play it this turn, let's say we played like Tempest to solve a land this turn or something like that, so that would cost 2 energy. Then the next turn, you know, we can either reclaim or hit the energy button. Let's just say that, oh sorry, we can't reclaim on two plays because we want to threshold the card. So maybe we hit the energy button. Let's say we hit the energy button and grow this top sun here. Right? Now we're now at 11 energy again. Playing these 2 cards, boom, Thresholded Vigor. Or if we want to do it with 3 cards instead, boom, Thresholded Vigor. Turn 3, Thresholded Vigor, your board's probably empty. And if your board's not empty after you played 1 Thresholded Vigor, why don't you just reclaim and just do it again and again and again? Because after this, we'll be down to 7 energy. And every time we play a Thresholded Vigor and we reclaim, we're losing 1, right? Because we have to play Gift of Wind Sped Steps for that extra energy. So we'd go to 7 energy, then 6, then 5, then 4, blah, 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 blah. You can play a Thresholded Vigor every single turn for basically like 6 turns. You know, there's no adversary that can live through this, I promise. Especially since you also have really good ways of controlling invaders through both your growth and your innate. So, like, you can set up these vigors to be maximally impactful. Not to mention you're throwing out 2 pretty good support powers to the rest of the team while you're doing this. So that's pretty broken. So this is sort of the case again where I'm going to put us back at 7 energy. We took a major really early and started to play off of it. There's another case, though, where we end up just taking the energy growth instead. We decide that our board state is pretty chill. We're not too rushed about taking a major just yet. We could also take a minor power in this case if we don't want to hit the 4 energy button. So maybe we're going to have I'm just going to grab a card from the deck, say it's a random card. Maybe we have a few less energy and we have a minor power. I don't know. But then the turn after, we'll probably grow to 3 plays, and then we'll grab a major. And in this case, right, we're going to be, somewhere in the like 10 to 13 plus energy range here, and we'll be pulling a major that we can use on 3 plays. And we can basically reclaim it several times in a row, even if we're at an energy deficit doing so, because we just have this massive surplus right away. Now, I want you to notice something. So if we're at this 3-3 state, or oops, I kind of gave away the the sauce there, but like if we're at 2 energy and 3 card plays, we're not really at 2 energy and 3 card plays, because every time we reclaim, we actually get another energy from reclaim. So we're already at the 3-3 state naturally, just by being at 2-3 on Sun Kitty. But we also have like 11 energy surplus, and every time we grab G2 here, right, we're temporarily a 5-3 spirit. The reason that this is an okay framework to think about is because if we gain this, say, if we didn't gain this 4 energy right away, but instead 2 energy this turn and 2 energy the next turn, that would be the equivalent of being at a 5-3 spirit for 2 turns rather than a 3-3 spirit with a 4 energy injection. They're basically the same thing. But are you noticing now that basically by the same timing that Keeper does, we can get to being a 5-3 spirit with multiple major drafts and the ability to just reclaim spam majors multiple turns in a row? This is looking really similar to Keeper. This is looking really similar to Finder. And so my argument is just that I think this spirit can kind of do the same thing by only growing to 2-3. They don't really have to grow that much more because this energy button is so huge, right? And another thing to note, right, is when you grow to this early 2 energy, you have access to this sun that is not really normally available to you if you're playing mostly off of your uniques and minor powers. When you have access to this sun, there's a lot of really important majors you can threshold. So I'm going to grab instruments from over here, but if I have instruments and I play like Gift of Sunlit Air and Gift of Windsped Steps, boom, instruments threshold on 3 plays relatively early in the game. This costs 5. I'd be at a 2 energy deficit if I kept reclaiming. Massive 11 energy surplus. I can play like a thresholded instruments like 4 turns in a row or something like that if I really wanted to, right? And I promise you that's probably winning the game into a lot of board states. I mean, just imagine some of those early Habsburg Ravages that just have massive amounts of damage. Well, you can turn it against them now with instruments early thresholded. So, yeah, so like this sunspot is actually really good if you're playing for major strategies. And then if you keep going, I mean 3, 4 air, 6, just more energy, more degeneracy, right? Now, another thing I want to highlight, this is already a pretty exciting and fun way to play Sun Kitty, but another thing I want to highlight is just that Sun Kitty makes really good use of some of the most important majors in the game. So this is an acronym that a player named A Small Emu came up with. To spell it out, A Small Emu. They play a lot of Lure on the public Discord, and also a very friendly person. You should totally say hi to them. But A Small Emu came up with this acronym called SPICE, and this refers to essentially what we like to consider some of the most game-breaking majors that you can possibly draft. These are so game-breaking that you pretty much should always take them on almost any spirit, even if you can't immediately support them energy-wise or plays-wise, because it's fine as long as you eat support on the table. So like people give you living energy, people give you Gift of Nature's Connection or Gonk, people give you Spur, people give you Constancy, right? All of these super broken minor powers that people are drafting anyways, they can just throw those at you and you'll be able to now play these majors, right? So don't worry about not being able to threshold them right away. They're so impactful, it's worth it. These majors are Solidify Echoes, Power Storm, Instruments, Cast Down, and Exaltation. part of the reason you don't see cards like Vigor up here, right, is that these majors affect multiple boards pretty much instantly. You know, when a big threshold of instruments is played in the middle of the island, it affects everyone's board. Cast down, even though you're deleting one board from the game, the other boards now have extra help because the spirit's on that board. And you just did also a ton of fear, right, in the slow, which is a bunch of fear cards, which is also helping other players. Exaltation is breaking two players' like immediate hands and also skipping 4 lands on the island. Power Storm's making anything that someone drafts basically twice as good. And Solidify just saves you from a lot of situations that are just totally silly, right? Like you're super dying into a 6 land ravage into Russia or something. You play Solidify and you have like a 6 land skip for 1 turn, you know? Um, so yeah, it's kind of important to note that Sun Kitty leverages these majors really well. We kind of went over what instruments might look like, but Exaltation is sort of another good example. If you have this 2+Sun and 3 plays build, which is really early in the game, it's just 4 presence, right? You can just threshold it with your starting kit. Oh yeah, you'd get 1 more play from Exaltation. There we go. You can just threshold Exaltation with your starting kit. I mean, this is like one of the most game-winning majors in the entire game, probably as game-winning as Cast Down, and you can just play it at threshold pretty early in the game with no support. Absolutely insane, like the peak potential that this spirit can hit. And so, but yeah, with that, I kind of just want to kind of hark back to, or trying to circle around a bit and kind of just look back on this. Basically, you know, even though it's not a fixed routing that I was able to show you today, the goal is just to get a huge energy surplus early. Let's draft a lot, right? If other people at the table have card drafts for you they're willing to offer you, you might want to be able to leverage that, and in turn, you can then play like one of those 8 vigors or something on their board, which will solve their board, right? So you're giving huge return on that support, and basically, like you're playing Sun Kitty as if you're playing Finder or as if you're playing Keeper. But part of the thing to note is that your innate is pretty much always solving a land. Your growth is pretty much always solving a land. And you have Dahan manipulation to make these Dahan majors better. Um, like, it's also crazy the elemental coverage that your uniques have. Like, let's just look at this real quick. You have Sun, Fire, Wind, Water, Claw, some of the most important elements for thresholding strong majors in this game. These 3 elements here, Earth, Plant, and Moon, are not super important for thresholding a lot of the broken majors outside of like Cast Down, right? So you have access to like the premium major elements. I mean, basically pick any major here and you can threshold it. Like let's say we wanted to threshold Irresistible Call for some reason. All right, well, I'm going to play Irresistible Call, I'm going to play Tempest, and I'm going to play Gift of Windsped Steppes. Or sorry, Sunlit Air. Boom. Thresholded Irresistible Call. It's like effortless to come up with these major thresholds. I could probably just grab a random major off the top. Even majors that aren't even as intuitive, like say Storm Swath. I mean, these are literally the Storm Swath elements. Like, you know, this. If you want to threshold Sweep into the Sea, like you just need to get this water out there, and then you just play another like Sun card, and you're good. You have a 0-cost Sun card, so you should be able to afford this at any point. There we go, Sweeping into the Sea threshold, because it comes with its own sun and water. So yeah, absolutely crazy, absolutely crazy. One last thing I want to highlight is just that these uniques are also really good. Like this is really good into Habsburg, your innate's very good into Habsburg, you know, this is very good into Russia, this is very good into France, this is good into just solving any explorer really. These 2 cards are good for breaking your own majors or other people's cards, right? If you have Sweep into the Sea, you can make your Sweep into the Sea fast because it has a push or gather instruction on it. So you have your own built-in slow to fast if you really need it, or you can give it out to someone. So absolutely like insane start for this spirit. And, you know, again, I don't have like a fixed build for you, but get creative, you know, try different stuff. You may not be winning a lot at first, but I promise you, if you kind of mess around with this build and also really try to work with your friends in the island, I'm sure you can come up with some absolutely crazy plays. I've been playing some like 20 energy hands on this spirit that just like win like 3 boards, and it's just been so much fun. So with that, I think that's going to conclude the video. It's also fair to note that I haven't put out a video in a long time. I have a lot of health issues in life, and so sometimes my videos will be really intermittent. Sorry about that. But if you want to reach me, you can obviously like leave comments and stuff, YouTube comments, and I'll respond to them. And also, a lot of people know me from the public server, and you can just like talk to me there, or even just play a game. I have a lot of cool builds to show people, and I just might not be able to put out videos at the speed that I would want to show off all these cool builds for you to have fun. So with that though, I think that's going to conclude the video. This is the Keeper build for Sun Kitty, and please just go try it. Go like destroy a level 6 adversary or something with your friends, and tell me how it went in the comments. All right, well, take care. Have a great one.